up their locker with this big black garbage bag, and this was in there. This is what he found. This is awesome. It takes me back to John Lynch giving me a jersey, signed jersey, talking about respect the game when I was young and dumb. Hey, Brandon, respect the game. It hit me 5 years later when that jersey was hanging on my wall. Champ Bailey's telling me, Brandon, you can be as great as you want to be. And I remember seeing that halfway through my career and thinking, like, is there another level? So I absolutely love this. It's one of the things that you'll cherish the most as an athlete.
That's great.
Brandon,
that's awesome.
Check your mail. You might have a signed Oxford from someone special. Just check it out. No, sir, I'm not going to give it away. Okay.
Oh.
Your old buddy Kevin Wildes, before he started putting on a tie and sitting in his basement and doing TV, was a famous television executive. And sometimes you'd have to have a big meeting with all the producers. And you would say, hey, for example, NBA draft night or trade deadline. You'd be like, hey, everybody, be on the lookout for the fake Woj account. No one mention the fake Woj account, triple check it, and don't report anything until you hear from the desk. And it's just everybody in media hears it. Well, now I'm doing it again. Attention all media members. It's not a cryptic Deshaun Watson tweet. It's another Future lyric. Stop writing that it's a cryptic tweet. Just go, take it, copy it, put it into Google, and then put Future after it, and it will come up. It's just a Future tweet. It's not a reference to any teams, and same goes for fans. In fact, put on your tinfoil hat. This whole thing might just be a giant Future marketing campaign. Future released a new album, and Deshaun Watson's been behind it the whole time. So I'm not sure, but no more calling it cryptic tweets. They're just Future lyrics. Good day.
I'm always confused until Kevin Wildes sets us all straight. My guy, Danny Ainge, spilling some truth this week. He was on the radio earlier in the week, and he was asked the most famous popular question in the greater New England area ever, of all time. Who's more responsible for the Patriots' success, Bill Belichick or Tom Brady? To which my guy, Danny Ainge, took a deep breath and said this. Why can't we as New Englanders just appreciate what a great era we had with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady instead of a competition between them? It's like, who's more important, Bill Russell or Red Auerbach? We even live in a world with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Everybody's always talking about who's better. No, they're not, Danny. Danny, you're my guy. Nobody's putting Tatum and Brown in the same conversation as Brady and Belichick and Russell and Auerbach. Nobody's doing it. No. Doesn't matter, though, because at the end of the day, yeah, what's up, Wildes? It's you and me.
Who's better, Michael J. Fox or Danny Ainge? Michael J. Fox or Danny Ainge? It's always going to be Michael J. Fox, but there's Danny. He's a close second. Neither of them have acknowledged my existence, so it's all the same to me. I put them both in the same category.
Jenna, I've got some news for you. Jenna, I've got news. I've got news, Jenna.
Tell me the news.
I've got news.
Let me hear.
This is going to be terrible.
Danny Ainge had an opportunity to trade for Tom Brady, but he wouldn't give up Romeo Langford. That's how he ended up on the Bucs. Like, he could have stayed in Boston,
I get it.
but he didn't want to give up Romeo Langford in a future second rounder.
He's holding on to his dynasty. Listen, Red Auerbach, Russell, Tatum, Jaylen Brown, he knows his people. Anyway, any excuse to get Danny Ainge in there, obviously. It's a good one. All right, let's talk some football. NFC title time now. So many storylines here. None sexier than obviously Danny Ainge and also this quarterback matchup. And I'm just talking resumes, not actual guys. Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, and all the accolades between them. Brandon, it's simple. Who wins on Sunday, Bucs or Packers?
This is going to be a really good game, but the Bucs will win this. And I really believe they have to slow it down. They have to lean on Leonard Fournette. They have to commit to the run game. This is a team all year that we talked about. Who are they? Do they have any chemistry on offense? Do they know what they want to do? Is Bruce Arians calling the plays? Is Tom Brady calling the plays? Tom Brady throwing the ball all over the field. That's something we saw him do, or even down the field. That's not something we saw him do in New England. You saw it last week against the Saints. You know, they came out and they wanted to start throwing the ball. And it wasn't until they settled down, committed to the run, that this offense really started to form and take off. So they have to lean on Leonard Fournette, and they have to be willing to go 4 yards here, 3 yards there, 6 yards there. I think that's the best opportunity because now you're keeping Aaron Rodgers off the field. And, Kevin, there's a few more things here. You got to look at Chris Godwin. That's one of those things that we're not even talking about. The guy has 6 drops in the playoffs. Most receivers have 6 drops in the regular season. This is a phenomenal wide receiver, and he's in a slump right now. He needs to find a way to get out of this slump, out of this funk, because it's going to come down to a few big plays. These wide receivers are going to have their opportunities down the stretch, and Chris Godwin has shown you in the playoffs that sometimes the stage is a little too big. I still believe in this guy, but he needs to come up big when Tom Brady calls his number.
See, I think he will. I think he's going to have a better game than Mike Evans. But I have some news to report, Brandon. I'm an optimist. But as you know, Michael, my raven that looked like a parrot, suffered an untimely death, the hands of a wind turbine. And unfortunately, his evil brother, Theo, this is Theo. And Theo has not taken his brother's untimely death very kindly. And he, instead of keys to winning the game, he has made nightmare fuel, ways the Bucs can lose the game. Nightmare fuel for the Bucs, courtesy of Theo, the mean raven, mad at his brother's demise at the hands of a wind turbine. The first piece of nightmare fuel for the Bucs is if Tom Brady misses the deep ball. Tom Brady didn't have a deep pass in 4 of the 5 Bucs losses. And you might say, well, he doesn't throw a lot. Not true. Led the league in touchdowns over 20 yards with 12. Number 2, under pressure. It's not only a great David Bowie song and a Vanilla Ice sample. It's what Tom Brady hates. In every loss, Brady was pressured in over 25% of his dropbacks. He's an old man just like me, does not like to be on the ground. So if they pressure him over 25%, guaranteed loss, according to Theo. Next one, the one that Brian Westbrook hates, abandoning the run. They've lost 4 of 5 games when they ran the ball 20 times or less. So like you said, Brandon, if Leonard Fournette is not involved, take an L for the Bucs, nightmare fuel. And finally, Nick, one near and dear to your heart. The Bucs have lost every game when they can think they're in 5 down territory. Tom Brady, I like that one. Forgets which down it is again. It's a guaranteed loss. So that's the nightmare fuel that is keeping Tom Brady up tonight on the eve of his big championship game.
Despite the fact that I really, really dislike Theo, and confession to make, it wasn't a wind turbine that killed Michael. It was me. I was sick of him. I thought he'd be gone, but now his brother's here. I think Wilds actually makes good points. I think Brandon also made good points, but I think both of you are ignoring the biggest story here. I shouldn't say ignoring, but haven't addressed the biggest story. And the biggest story is what is on the line for Aaron Rodgers. And that is because there was a moment 6 years ago, almost today, 6 years and 3 days ago, where Aaron Rodgers had, and Jen, I know you love these references, a sliding doors moment in his career. And he went the wrong way with it. It was the NFC Championship game against the Seahawks. The Patriots were already clinched for the Super Bowl. At that moment in time, Tom Brady had 3 rings and had not won a Super Bowl in over 10 years. Rodgers was moments away from getting back to the Super Bowl with a chance to beat Brady head-to-head in a Super Bowl. He would have 2 rings, Brady would have 3, and this, forget the GOAT conversation, it would be, is Rodgers simply the best quarterback of his era, not Brady? That onside kick happened. The overtime happened. And then what happened to Rodgers was the next year in the playoffs, he completes 2 Hail Marys and they lose. The next year in the playoffs, they make the conference championship game. They're down 31-0. They then miss the playoffs for 2 straight years, make it back to the conference championship last year where they're down 27-0. He was this close to being able to play a game to potentially dethrone Brady, who wasn't yet the GOAT. Since then, he hasn't been anywhere close to this moment. This is the biggest game, Brandon, he's played in 6 years. He's an all-time great, And that, to me, is what this game's going to come down to. I think Rodgers is going to be all-time special in the biggest game he's played in a half-decade, and that's what's going to carry the Packers.
Nick, you're absolutely right, but there's some players you just don't worry about. Aaron Rodgers is one of those guys where you study his mindset. You're like, man, this dude is even keel. He rises to the occasion in big moments. So I'm not really concerned about Aaron Rodgers. What I am concerned about is that pass protection. We go back. I think that's the best opportunity because now you're keeping Aaron Rodgers off the field. And, Kevin, there's a few more things here. You got